I really liked the first episode of Zoom 100. We have our main character Akira Tendo, who is a cheerful guy and who is also starting the first day of his dream job. Every one of his coworkers, including his boss, seem nice. He also meets a cute girl who's a potential girlfriend. All seems well, right? Turns out this place is a not so nice place. They say the difference between hell and a Japanese exploitative company forgot about it, but our main character faces every hardship and humiliation a person can go through. His crush is the boss's mistress, he barely sleeps, his will is ultimately broken, and he can't say no to the simplest of demands to the point he'd rather die. But then a ray of hope shines finally for our boy, and it comes in the form of a zombie apocalypse. Now you might be a little confused here. You might say, well, how can a zombie apocalypse be a ray of hope? Our man's right here wanted to die from the hell his company was putting him through, so this zombie apocalypse freed him from it. It is one of the few times in media where a zombie apocalypse is a positive, and it was kinda liberating to see Tendo happily and casually murdering zombies and doing the stuff he always wanted to. Once he understood it no longer meant he needs to go to work. He even finally gets the balls to confess to his crush, but she was a zombie at that point, so I don't know if it counts. But seeing this concept for the story is really something, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the production for the first episode. It was absolutely insane. The colors, the fluidity of the animation, everything looked amazing. But stories like this are truly tested after the premise is done. Can it now live up to the same level of quality as its first episode? And it kinda does, but before I get into all that, I want to say there seems to be two camps when it comes to the general opinion regarding this show. Some people argue that this show sucks because it's not taking the zombie apocalypse seriously and the story and characters are not fleshed out well enough. And on the other side of the argument, people say that this show is not meant to be a serious show about zombies and that it's a light-hearted, fun story that doesn't take itself seriously. And I lean to the latter. This show is not meant to be a serious zombie apocalypse show. I feel like people who got into this show knowing it's about zombies thought that was going to be the main traction and revolve around that, but that's not what happens. This show is about our main character who finally decides to live his life to the fullest after he witnessed how miserable the other side could be, and he is finally provided the opportunity to do that since there is a zombie apocalypse. And it's an absolute blast watching him accomplish all the goals on his bucket list. Not only that, but seeing him also inspire others, such as in the episode where he inspires his best friend to get out of his shell and finally live the life that he always wanted to. And that is one of my favorite episodes of the show because it highlights the trap in life that most people fall into. And it stood out to me because the way the story executed it. It's obvious that this story is pushing the message of live your life to the fullest and take risks and all that stuff, which was made clear by showing us Tendo, the main character, live a hellish life which was opposed to his dreams. The thing with his friend's story that stood out was he was living the dream. He had everything unlike Tendo. Girls, freedom, money, everything. But still, there was something wrong. He was miserable like how Tendo was. And this highlights for me the sneaky nature of life in our minds. How we might still end up in the wrong place if we don't truly know what we want and need. Even the thing that we might chase after and finally get and indulge in with great delight might not be the thing that we've always wanted. His friend was a successful real estate agent, but deep down he knew the life he was living was not right because he was also doing some shady stuff, but that's besides the point. And Tendo helps him to overcome his fear and try and grasp his dream, which was being a comedian. And this right here, the story telling the same theme but with two different characters and situations, for me makes the impact of its theme even greater. And the fact that it does this this makes me appreciate the story even more. Another favorite moment of mine was the time he meets his old boss and he goes into his fight or flight mode and becomes his usual obedient self. He reverts to his old self where he couldn't say no to any demands. It even reached the point where he tells his friends to leave him behind, and this I feel like is a very important scene. Like sometimes it feels like we've gotten ourselves out of our traumas, but in reality it's just lying dormant and waiting to lash out at any moment. The moment he quit his job and started ticking some of the boxes off of his bucket list, it seemed like he was healed from the version of him in the exploitative company, but little did we know it was not over. And since Shizuka's past was sort of similar to him, she could relate and snap him out of his obedient trance, and it was a really good moment. Another episode I really enjoyed was the episode where they were trapped in the mall and were stuck with the flight attendants and he got exposed for having no riz. That was hilarious, and the way he connected with that one flight attendant and she died, not gonna lie, that was sad. Zoom 100 has been criticized for the rest of its episodes not being as strong as its first, but this is a light-hearted fun anime with a touch of existential themes in it, and for what it's trying to achieve, it does a great job, and I really appreciate that it has a sensible physics, unlike another zombie anime. If you've made it this far into the video, please consider subscribing and turning on the notification button. Also, don't forget to like and comment, it really helps the channel. And with that said, see you in the next one.